a good time. Put a smile on your face, yeah. KB Cam and Elation Radio. Even brighten your day and help you through the night. Bringing you good music. KB Cam and Elation Radio. And here's your host, KB Cam.
Do you have an upcoming event? Well, I encourage you to book Beyond Defense Family for an amazing experience. Beyond Defense is a talented group of men and women who have toured the world to display their talents of song and ministry. Did I forget to mention multi-award winners? They're your one-stop shop for making your event the best in the city. Book Beyond Defense today at beyonddefense.org. Click menu, then contact. Beyond Defense, your audience will thank you.
Yo, it's your boy David Benton. Going beyond the fence. You know, when I was a child, I thought as a child. I spoke as a child, and I understood as a child, you know what I mean? But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Yeah, I went from a male to a mentor. Good guy gone bad, I was never bad. Just hustling and grinding for what I never had. Sassy soul in my first pack, I never look back. Baking soda and water, show me how to cook crack. Hennessy and weed, chillin' with the hood rats. Had to chill, ecstasy pills, I let my book bag look. I did what I did as a kid, so stand down. Got caught with my pants down. Now I'm a man now, nobody fronted me. Never asked for handouts, I was low key. Never had to stand out. School of hard knocks, never been the class clown. This part of my background, I'm talking the facts now. People know me, considered as the OG. Well, emotions won't control me. Immaturity don't provoke me. Look, because of the old me, I owe me. Troy G, JT, Big Brad was there to console me. Yeah. Up in the trenches with the killers and hustlers. On the realer, you can be a killer and still be a buster. Fed my pit bulls hard white, no cut on the butter. Turned against me undercover, now my kids gotta suffer. 10 of life, one conspiracy, no justice at all. They gave me 15 years, a homie claimed he ain't mumble it all. I touched down, they realized I didn't fumble the ball. Staggered a little bit because of the fall. I didn't stumble and fall, kept my head up, educated myself. Heard my pit bulls growling, contemplating my death. I cried in my cell, felt like I was living in hell. My cellie told me to thank God that I'm living in well. To get a grip on yourself, live instead of exist, and make a better decision. Helping the children, put them in better position. Seeing none just listen, give them a vision, keeping them out of these prisons. Yeah.
Welcome to Beyond the Radio.
Welcome to Beyond the Radio, and you better be smiling.
Beyond the Fence is in the building.
Hey, 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 yeah. Oh. Yes. Thank you. Shout out to the family right here. You're right here on Beyond the Radio, and this is your main man, David Benton, your host, and I am in the building. And you know what? I am smiling. I'm smiling ear to ear. Yes, I am. Shout out to the Elation family. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you for your prayers, because this station, this network is definitely prayed up, anointed, blessed, highly favored in real life. Yes, we are. No, I don't want to say that. Yes, we is. Yes, we is. We surely is blessed. Man, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in every Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here, keeping it locked. We thank you for your faithfulness, because without you, there's no us when it comes to the growth. So we thank you. We appreciate that. Man, shout out to my main man, G. Will. Man, his single, Lord I. If y'all haven't heard it, you better hear it. I'm telling you right now, go to YouTube and type in G. Will, Lord I. The name of the song is Lord I, and the name of the artist is G. Will. Right there, an artist on Beyond the Fence Enterprise. Shout out to the brother. He is also a part of the Fleet DJs. If you need a DJ, I think you need to call on. I want you to tap into BeyondTheFence.org. I said that is BeyondTheFence.org. That is BeyondTheFence.org. If you reach out to us, contact us. If you need weddings, parties, whatever you into, and you want a DJ who have integrity, who is responsible, who's going to be on time, who's going to give you some good music and have the love of God in his heart, I think you need to call on DJ G. Will. I said it, DJ G. Will. That's right. So we got a wonderful show for you tonight. As you can see, I'm smiling. I'm in a good mood with the show. Can I get a drum roll? Shay Samuels, are you in the building?
Shay Samuels is in the building.
Hey. Oh. Hey. And the crowd goes wild. And the crowd. So Shay, how was your weekend, Shay? I know mine was.
Oh,
how was yours?
My weekend was amazing. Today, just not too long ago, getting in from a phenomenal conference. It actually was a girlfriend's brunch hosted by an amazing woman. Just a little background, David, if I can. This young lady was actually diagnosed with colon cancer at the age of 8 years old, and she was telling us how important it is for us to even just know our family history as it pertains to, health issues overall. But her father was diagnosed with it, and she was actually blessed with being diagnosed early on in her life. But this conference was actually something that kind of happens the way things happen with all of us, actually. So she was just inviting a couple of sisters over to just say thank you for being there while she was going through her trials and her tribulations with her health. And it turned into what I had a chance to attend today. So shout out to Paula G, Lady Wisdom After Midnight, for inviting me today. But we had some laughs, a lot of tears, a lot of education, a lot of awards we're giving out today. Shout out to Coach Jean Turner, who got an award today. Yes. And I'll have a little surprise, you guys. I've captured some footage that probably will only be seen on Beyond the Radio. So if you have not liked the Beyond the Radio Facebook page, I encourage you to go ahead and like it today, because I got some unseen footage that I'm going to go ahead and post up there. You guys will have to go to that page to see it. But other than that, David, I had a very relaxing weekend, did some shopping at some flea markets, found some great finds, and, I haven't done that in a while, so it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend, and now I'm right here on Beyond the Radio with you, all the listeners. Shout out to Kimmy Kim. There's no better way to end the weekend but right here on Beyond the Radio, and guess what? I'm smiling.
I mean, you should be smiling, Shay, because, Shay, I'm about to put you on blast. One thing I like is a person that makes 6 figures a year. You got to talk to us about that, Shay, because that is very you're not the type of person that what we would call stud. You're a person with high quality and taste, but you don't spend frivolously. I like that. So a person who makes 6 figures a year, easy, and it's not easy for everybody, but Shay, I know you, and it's so you make it look easy. I'm not gonna lie, you make it look so easy. You make 6 figures a year, but yet you're a simple person. I know for a fact that you would just eat some ramen noodles with a tuna fish sandwich at any given time. And you are a bargain shopper. You just love to go. Cause my mom is just like that. And shout out to my mom, Evangelist Faye Molden. Shay,
shout out to Evangelist.
Y'all both do the same thing. Yes, you would go to a flea market and you get a kick out of just finding the best for your money. Talk to us about that, because a lot of people, they will feel some type of way. They will feel like, I'm not going to a place like that. But I have seen you come out with some really awesome things that I couldn't believe that you got that from a flea market or a Goodwill. It's so. Talk to us, Shay.
Well, I have to say, I was saying this to one of my cousins yesterday that I wasn't always like that, because I've always made good money. I always, figured you make the money, you spend it. And so in my younger days, I really didn't mind buying a pair of $90 jeans and holding on to them. And, I just felt the more money I've spent on something, the better the quality. But when I moved to Georgia, I personally ran into some tough times. I came here with a job that I thought was a for sure job, and I ended up not. That job ended up falling through, and for a short period of time, I didn't have the money that I wanted to spend. And so I remember my daughter, she said, I can't wait until we get rich again, because she was used to, paying a lot for her clothes. Well, and me paying a lot for the clothes. And so one day I was watching this show called Look for Less, and basically they give this person about $20 and they have to go shopping. They give them an item and they say, this is $20, go ahead and try to get this look for less. And so as a part of me getting my kids, having fun with them and somewhat having them thrift shop at the same time without being so embarrassed about it, I had them pick their favorite outfit out, and then we went to the Goodwill with $20. I gave them both $20, and I said, find the same outfit for less. And so we had so much fun with doing that, and in that I learned my style. I learned everything that I needed to learn, and I also learned I didn't need to pay $90 for a pair of jeans anymore. I didn't need to do that. And so it just, I realized in that I didn't have to buy a lot to feel like quality. I realized that what I purchased, I make it look good. And so regardless of if I paid $90 or $2 for it, which I'd rather pay the $2, I'm going to get it. So I practice that by looking at look for less. And I'm confident in who I am, to be honest with you. I'm confident as a female that whatever I put together, and there are pieces that you find, David, when you're at a flea market or when you're at a Goodwill, like you know that I'm like an 80s dresser, sometimes a 70s, yes. At times maybe a 60s dresser. You're not going to be able to find those type of clothes in the stores. And I didn't want to go around looking like everybody just because of retail shopping. So thrifting became my thing, and I like the nostalgia. Like I was saying before, I really love the nostalgia of going places and finding items that you would never find anywhere else. So it's like I take a piece of the world with me by going to the flea market. So I just enjoy it.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you something that I did learn from you when it comes to thrifting. That even though the prices are not expensive, you do have an expensive taste because the things that I've seen you buy for $10, $15, they're worth $100 and $200 in the store. I've seen you purchase like the name brand that was on it. I'm like, what in the world? You know, the quality was very expensive, but your dollar was not expensive. So kings and queens, men and women of God, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's so unique about Beyond the Radio. We want you to have fun in life. We want you to live your best life, but at the same time, we want you to make sense of it. We're here because we want to build you. We want to elevate your mind, elevate your thinking. We do come up here. We have a good time. We like to make you laugh. But at the same time, life exists. Life is real. And we want to pour into you so you can be financially stable. But you have to be confident in yourself, and that's why we want to teach you to go beyond your fence. And for you to go beyond your fence, then you're going to have to look behind your fence or who you used to be and know where you're headed. And when you know where you're headed and you become that king and queen on the inside that God wants to reveal to the world, only you can be that better version of yourself. But it takes you to motivate yourself and stop looking for others' approval to tell you who you are. You are designed by God to be great. And we all have greatness in different ways. You just got to find out where you're great at. Somebody might be a great cook, where other person might be a great welder. One may work in a 5-star restaurant, while other one might just make $25 to $30 an hour as a welder. But at the same time, walk in your greatness, whatever that may be. Because here's the reality. As human beings, we all got to eat. You might want to be the best barber. As a human, we all need barbers, hairdressers. Might be the best car salesman. As long as we're humans, we're going to drive cars. Even if we have to fly cars one day, you're going to need a car. But God have created you to be the best at something. You just got to tap into what you're great at. And when you do, elevate it and have integrity. Elevate your greatness, but walk in your integrity. And that's what I want people to realize on a short note. And that's why I wanted to tell the audience about that, Shay, because it's definitely important. And it's really going into the segment of what we got to talk about today, because we are controlled by the thoughts. We're controlled by what people think versus what is. And Shay, you ready for the show tonight? Because I'm so ready for this topic.
I am so ready for the topic. I'm so ready.
All right. I'm going to just get straight to the point. I saw on Facebook where a lot of people was hooping and hollering about Kirk Franklin using profanity. He got into an altercation with his son over the telephone. Later on, I saw on YouTube where Kirk Franklin apologized to everyone for using profane language towards his disrespectful son. And a lot of people was giving, some people side with Kirk Franklin. They understood, they could empathize, but some people act like, well, I can't even say act. Some people just did not approve of it, and they thought that was the worst thing in the world. And you had so many people really just clowning him about it. They couldn't wait to call him a hypocrite or call him so many names that was ungodly. It's like they couldn't wait to throw stones. And people felt that this man of God should not be using profanity. And I want everyone to understand that this mindset in looking at these people, worshiping these people who we see in the limelight, we're using them as the golden calf. We want a God that's tangible. We're worshiping these people unconsciously. They are people. He's not a super pastor. He's not T.D. Jakes. He is a singer. That's all this brother is. He's singing, glorifying God, giving you good quality music so you can just have a good time listening to some music and be entertained by it. That's the reality. Here's another reality. Let's talk about the profanity versus curse words. That's what I want to talk about. Profanity versus cursed words. Now, profanity is different from curse words. If y'all are so upset with Kirk Franklin, then all y'all are going to go to hell. Let me tell you why. Because that means you're throwing stones at Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah, the Anointed One, Emmanuel, the Son of God, wherever you choose to call him. Yahshua, wherever you choose to call him, you are throwing stones at Jesus the Christ. Let me tell you why. Because the Bible simply said, and I quote, Jesus cursed the fig tree. Right? He didn't use profanity. He cursed the fig tree. When he cursed the fig tree, he touched the fig, and the reason why he cursed the fig tree, because he touched the fig tree, even though it wasn't in its time to produce, it wasn't in the season to produce, it did not produce the fruit for Jesus. So guess what Jesus said? I curse you, you will not grow for anyone. You will not grow for anyone. Meaning, what you was designed to do, you will not do no more. Let me tell you why, because guess what? When it does produce, it's a blessing to whoever it eats from. Let me tell you why, because it's healthy. It gives nourishment. It keeps you alive because we need food. We need juices. It gives us all the elements of that into our bodies, the purity. We need that. It's healthy. So that fig tree did a lot for people. We might take some foods like that for granted, but it was produced for us to eat. But when Jesus said you would not do it no more, guess what the curse was? You will not do what you were designed to do. That's a curse, not profanity. Now, the reason I say this, we'll say, oh, you cursed him out. You cursed him out. We are really in error when we say these things. It's cliche that we say you got cursed out. That's not a curse. It's profane language, that what we call it. Now, it's not like Jesus said, you blop, 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 boop, 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 and all the bleeps, 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 bleeps. You're not going to bleep, 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 grow any bleep, bleep more, you bleep, bleep, bleep. No, Jesus didn't do that. He cursed the fig tree literally. So let's talk about it again. Curse words versus profane language. Now, if you go to Matthew 5:34 through 37, in verse 34 it says, but I tell you, do not swear an oath at all. Because we say, he's swearing. Watch this. The Bible, kings and queens, ladies and gentlemen, men and women of God, not David Benton, but the Bible says, but I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, or for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head. You cannot make either one hair black or white. All you need to say is a simple yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. So do not swear by an oath. Do not swear by an oath. So we got to understand what swearing is, what these churches are, what profanity is. because they come from a place. And before I get deeper, Shay, I know you have something to say.
Well, I was going to say you just go ahead, but I do want to say the scripture that I was going to come from tonight, David, was John 4:24, and you're just touching on it. But God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship him in spirit and in truth. And so I really want to focus on the word truth tonight, because I believe that this will open the eyes of every believer and even people who may not believe and may be seeking. But truth is really the property of being on one accord with fact or reality. And so I want to stay there and really get into the meat of it if I can on the second half. But the scripture, again, I'm coming out of is John 4:24. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and in truth. And the word that I want to focus on is truth. I remember when I first read this scripture, and I remember praying about certain things. And what I'm going to talk about on the second half is really going to touch on the truth. And so the truth, what I just said, is fact or reality. And so what we have to understand is just like when we go to school, we learn that 1 + 1 = 2, right? We learned this in school. Someone taught us this, and we stick to it because 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4, right? And so you can't debate that. And so what that tells me is that things that we are taught here on the earth that can clearly be true. Do you get what I'm saying, David? And hopefully
yes.
The listeners, there are things here on earth that we learn, that we understand, and that we were taught by human beings that are truth. And so what I would like to talk about is a study that I did some time ago after reading this scripture, because I myself wanted to worship. I wanted to be in truth in everything that I talked about. And that also led up to even just something as simple as love. The truth is that what I was told about love by my mother didn't add up to what scripture said love was, or what God's way of love is. And so my mom, my mom kind of taught me, you love people according either to what they do or who they are, right? The world would show us that you love people according to those same values. But then I read scripture that love is patient, love is kind, love is not boastful, love is not envious. And then I had to look up all of those words so that I can act in accordance to what love should look like. And so in that, I was able to, every now and then, David, you might get it a little bit, so I'm not going to say that I was able to understand how to hold my composure, but it showed me how to love. And when I started loving in that way, being a little bit more patient, being a little bit more kind, not envious, not boastful. And so when I started understanding and identifying that, it all came from what truth is. So I'm excited about the second half and sharing with you guys the study that I had. So you have to stay tuned into the second half. But what the study was that I did on the words that we consider profanity.
If you want to, Shay, if you want to, Shay, we really do not have to go to a music break. I mean, This is definitely important. We don't have to go to a music break. The reason why is, like I said, we do have fun, but this is a serious moment because Kirk Franklin really was ridiculed, and I think that we really need to start maturing in our spirituality, mature in our faith, and it's definitely important. So, Shay, just go on ahead, and we'll skip the music break.
I appreciate that. But before I go, I do want to give a shout-out to the sponsors. We cannot leave the sponsors out. Make sure that we give them a shout-out each and every week. So we will first give a shout-out to Paula G. Wisdom, Paula G. Voice Lady Wisdom After Midnight. If you heard that amazing commercial in the beginning, that is Paula G., the voice. Listen, if you are listening and you need to have a new voiceover for your commercials, for your radio station, voicemails, hospitals, Paula G's voice is a voice that just comforts the world, so you need to make sure that you reach into her. How? At paulagvoice.com or paulagvoice.com. Make sure you let her know that Beyond the Fence sent you. Next, we have Palmer House. Right here in Atlanta, Georgia, if you are looking for a home, you're looking for loan information, you're looking for someone to just talk to you about real estate, Kiki Pittman, who was just married yesterday, shout out to our new sponsor and her wedding and her new husband. Just married yesterday. But if you were looking, make sure. Congratulations, palmerhouse.com if you are looking, and also Notary. Last but not least, David, can I get a drum roll? Let's Talk Business. Let's Talk Business Consultant Strategy and Coaching Group. That's our new expansion company. I want to thank everyone who has called for a consultation, those who just want information, all of you who have joined our business calls on Thursday night. You can find that information again on Beyond the Radio. But if you are looking to strategize new ideas within your business, if you need information on just how to start your business, let's talk business. How do you do that? At aboutbuildingleaders@gmail.com. We will get back with you as soon as we get your email, set you up for a consultation, and set you up for success within the next 30 days. I love how David says we have a 100% success rate, and we just want to thank you all for believing and supporting the business. So I'm not going to go back to you this time, David. I'm just going to keep on talking. But I did a study, David. I did a study, and this is probably back in 2016. God was really dealing with me with a lot of stuff, and I was hearing a lot that was happening in the church. And what I noticed is that people didn't study. One of the requirements is to study to show yourself approved. And so the pastor would put something up on the board, and then everyone would look at it, and he would encourage everyone to go home and study. And so when I went home to study, I would call the church with more questions. And it was like once that sermon was done, it was done. And if I asked any more questions, then it seemed like I was in trouble for asking more questions. So I had to start searching for myself, right? And I'm not a cursor, but I will tell you, a person who uses profanity, to the point where people are just, every other word is that word. And I didn't really grow up like that. But I wanted to know because of situations like this with Kirk Franklin. There were people around me who were cursing the people who were, quote, unquote, cursing, and basically just saying that they were not going to go to heaven because they were doing it. So I wanted to know the truth. So I started looking up the origin of curse words, just like I did everything else. I don't want people to say, well, why was it just curse words? It wasn't. It was Mother's Day. It was Easter. It was Father's Day. I wanted to know where it all began, because we had really been celebrating stuff just because it became a formality, and we didn't know. I asked my mom, I said, where does this come from? She wasn't aware. The difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, we're celebrating people on Veterans Day, and we're celebrating people on Memorial Day, and it's two different holidays and celebrated two different ways. But because everyone would go out and just start throwing barbecues, right? So I wanted to know more about this profanity, these curse words. And so I started digging a little bit, and I promise you guys, you can go ahead and Google this for yourself, but I'm going to start by spelling the word out. The word acronym, or the acronym, is SHIT. Did you all know that is not a word? It is an acronym. And so the very thing, just like we do with everything else, with social media, one thing is meant for good, we turn it into evil. We are the ones that make it bad. Whatever it is that's set up to be a positive thing, we turn it into a negative. So the acronym SHIT, if you have pen and paper out, it stands for Ship High in Transit. And what do you think they were carrying in that crate that they needed to ship high in transit, David?
Manure.
And so here are all these people on this ship where they are transporting manure, and then they would say, hey, bring the S.HI.IT acronym, bring it over here. So how did we get to a point where that now becomes a curse word? The equivalent is the manure, right?
Yes.
The equivalent is the manure. And so I want to give that as an example. When I started sharing that with people, their mouths dropped. But go back to what I said in the beginning, truth. It is a fact or reality. I didn't just stop there. I started looking up additional words. And I'm going to go back to you, David, before I go back to the other words. I just want to give people kind of that, because I'm sure a lot of people got to pick their mouths up right now after hearing that we need to dig a little bit deeper into our studies. Not so that we can use this as an avenue for us to say this is an scapegoat for us to do it. Even if you found out smoking wasn't bad for you, doesn't mean you have to do it because you found out it wasn't. It is bad for you. But I remember saying, David, at 21, I remember every one of my friends said, when I get 21, when I get to the age of 21, the first thing I'm going to do is go to the liquor store. Why? Because that's what's put in our head. At 21, you're legal to drink. But I said, but there's a number of things that you can do at 21. You can put in a college application. You can put in a job application, but that's not what's implanted in our heads. You can't drink until you're 21. How many parents said, you know, when you're 18, you got to get out of this house? So when kids grow up, they can't wait until the age of 18 to get out the house, some of them. So what I'm saying is we are already conditioning our minds to believe the things that we've been taught, and nobody is conditioning their minds to teach themselves what truth is. So for me, when I decided that I wanted to worship God in spirit and in truth, I had to go searching for the truth. And as I started searching for the truth, not just in the words that I'm telling you about now, but even for myself, I found out a lot of ugly stuff about me. And so I had to begin to fix it. But going back to what we're talking about, the reality of it is we really do have to get to the bottom of truth. And when you do that, I don't think that we would condemn people as much as we are.
Yes, and that's what this is about. Like Shay said, we're not sitting up here saying, okay, it's okay to do this and that and say this and that. Oh, man, them people on Beyond the Radio said this and that. No, what we're saying is so you can have knowledge. It's time to mature in our spirituality. When Kirk Franklin said that, I was like, I wonder what his son did. I wasn't shocked. You know what I'm saying? I really was not shocked. I was like, wow, I wonder what his son did to just make Kirk go off on the deep end like that. Because he's a person. He's a person, you know? So, and we all have that in us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's stop pretending like we're not capable of using those type of words. And I'm going to say this. You expressed the acronym. So let's talk about MF, you know, the mother F, right? Okay. That's from slavery. When these slaves came over, a lot of them would take the male child. The slave owners would take the male child out of that young slave girl. They would raise the slave male child because they would what they would do, they would breed. They was told to breed the African slaves just like they do horses. And you can look at it right now. We do that with pit bulls. We want to keep them in the bloodline, so we'll mate those pit bulls with its own kind so they can stay in a certain bloodline so it can have full potential. And people who breed pit bulls will not go outside of that, and that's how they do with horses as well. So they would take the male child, raise this male child, and it'd be a lot of those young girls. Some of them, the slave owners would rape some of them. They'd be 13, 14 years old. Or when some of them get pregnant by another slave, they would take that firstborn child, that male child, raise that male child, and like 15 years later, right? Here this young lady don't know this child, haven't seen this child in years. So she don't know what that baby looked like. The baby definitely don't know what the mom looked like because it was taken from birth. Well, they would make the male child have sex with the mother to produce a child. When that baby is born, that's what they call the baby. Take this MFer. But it was used as so they could have more slaves to bring more strength, because here's the reality. The slaves were the workers. They were the workers. That's how the slave owners made money. So they bred them just like we do our cattle. Just like we do our cattle. And they gave them the term MFer. Literally, people. So when we say it, but people don't know the history of it. So, yes, if you really knew the term, it's considered bad, especially for a black person.
Yeah.
Especially
David,
for a black person.
If I could say this really quickly, David, because this is for the people who are using the words as well, right? So it's not just you guys are getting on Kirk Franklin, or for those who were getting on Kirk Franklin. This is really for the people who are also utilizing the words. The reality of it is you were just talking about breeding. And so if we're breeding these words to be profane words and our children hear those words, then we're only passing that bad information now along to them. And then that cycle continues to repeat itself. So when you were talking about the word breed, it's the same thing for those people who are using the word. Be able to identify and become more aware of what you're utilizing, especially in the example that David just gave.
Yes. And only thing our goal is so you can have information so we won't judge people improperly. And when if you use it, don't beat yourself up so bad. And to be honest, if you do use it, be careful who you use it to, because everybody can't handle the same type of conversations, and that's just the reality. It's not healthy for us to make a big deal out of it and send anyone to hell, because that's not our job. So, like I said, Jesus cursed the fig tree, but he did not use profanity. So we got to understand what is cursing, because we call it cursing. He cursed his son. He's cursing his son out. They cursed each other out. But we have to say, okay, if you say such and such, you are never going to amount to anything. But if you say such and such, you're going to be great, and use a profanity in it, you still didn't curse the person, but you might have said some language that may be offensive to some people that's been taught that that's cursing. Some profanity may be offensive to people. So the Bible also says if a person don't eat meat, don't feed them a big old cow, right? You respect one another. If a person decides not to use profanity, don't use that type of language in front of them, because you don't want to offend your brother. But at the same time, if you do not use profanity, it doesn't give you a right to sit up there and condemn the person who does use profanity. So the respect goes both ways. If you're a vegetarian, you don't need to brag about, well, you're going to die soon because you eat meat, and I'm a vegetarian, and I'm greater than you because I'm strong enough not to eat meat. Well, the meat eater might say, well, I don't want to eat them leaves, and I like hot sauce on all my meat. It's okay. We don't have to condemn one another and try to push yourself up to make another one feel less value.
Yeah.
Because Jesus, again, cursed the fig tree. And I use that terminology because if I say you are never going to amount to anything, I may have not used profanity, but I cursed you. That is a cursed word. That is a cursed word. And we live our everyday life cursing people all the time. We curse people all the time. But we say we have love in our hearts. We say we have understanding. We're supposed to be a forgiving people, a peaceful people. But you know what? We condemn everybody. Do you know what that is? Cursing them. We let people know they have no value on this earth because they don't live up to our expectations, not God's. We blame God, but we mad because they're not living up to our expectations. So guess what we do? Curse them. Make them feel less value. Make them feel they're not good enough. Think we're so high and mighty because you don't use profanity, because you don't smoke that cigarette. I hate cigarettes, but I'm not condemning the people who do smoke them. A cigarette not going to send you to hell. I just think you'll lose more of your breath, and it'll be hard for you to run. And when you start coughing up stuff and I can't breathe good, well, man, you probably need to stop smoking. Now I'll tell you. But I'm not going to send you to hell because you smoke, and I hate smoking. I hate it with a passion. It makes me feel sick. But I'm not here to put other people down just because I don't smoke. See, that's a health thing, not a God thing. Yeah, and I know you're supposed to be healthy, but guess what? Stop eating the ice cream then, because sugar is more addictive than the cocaine leaf. The sugar leaf is more addictive than cocaine leaf. That's a fact, scientifically. That's why sugar is everywhere and highly addictive. Obesity is at an all-time high. Let it go then. Drop your sugar today. If you're that strong, drop your sugar today, because that means you might go to hell then. Because it's addictive. That's why we say a sugar high. Let me tell you why, because it's a drug. It's an addictive high that you get. Crave it. Because you're addicted to it. You can't let it go. Let it go today then. If you're that high and mighty, if you're that strong, let it go. So I just don't want us to continue to be bamboozled and continue to curse people just because we think we're high and mighty. Back to you, Shay.
That was a good word, David. Thank you for sharing it. And, like I said, when I started doing the study for myself, it was because I just started recognizing that where I was going, I honestly felt like it was becoming a bit cultish. You couldn't speak with other people. You couldn't fellowship with other people. And I started questioning. There's always a remnant, though. And it's like that person that wants to know a little bit more. And I wanted to know why. We're supposed to be learning and growing. Even when the Bible talks about all nations coming together, we're supposed to be learning and growing. And I'm happy to say that I have friends of all religions, and, we can have peaceful conversations and respect one another, like you were just talking about, where it's, if one's a vegetarian, I'm not speaking about beef in front of them, and they're not speaking about, you need to be a vegetarian. We glean from one another. But I'm going to come out of John 8:7. It says, and this is the New Living Translation, it says, they kept demanding an answer. So he stood up again and said, all right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. So I got to say that one again. It says, John 8:7 says, they kept demanding an answer. So he stood up again and said, all right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. I think the message that we really want to give tonight is that this is who we all are. I said to someone recently that, and it was in a joking manner, but it may happen. It could happen. I may run a red light tomorrow, depending on my situation. I don't intentionally just want to run. Like, I'm not a speed racer where I'll just run red lights, but I may. And you know what? The camera that sits on the top of that pole may go off, and I'm probably going to get a ticket. And I'm not speaking that. I'm just saying that these are things that, happen in life. How many of you have taken a pen or pencil from work? How many of you have lied about the fact that you got to work late because of traffic when you really overslept because you've been on Facebook all night long? How many of you argue with your own children? Or how many of you did not? I can say as a mother, I didn't give my children truth growing up. And some of it was to protect them, but that means I've lied to them in different ways. But what I'm saying is, it's not right for even me to cast the first stone when I personally feel that someone is not living according to a standard.
Yeah.
I think
we
all come from different
gas and blame it on somebody else. How many of y'all passed gas and blamed it on somebody else? You didn't admit it. You put it in that office. It's so bad, and you didn't want to admit it. You didn't stand up for your poop. Sorry, Shay. I got emotional. Go ahead. Back to you.
It's okay. It's okay, but it is so true. And the reality of it is we all we all are at fault for this. The meaning of condemnation, so you all are aware, the meaning, the definition, as you can see, David and I, we don't just get on the radio and talk. Some of this stuff, it's embedded in us. This is what we talk about every single day. This is, pretty much how we talk with one another. When people want to know more, we just kind of take a deeper dive. We don't just read the word to say that we know the scripture. We don't just talk to you about it because it's another conversation. Notice that we come to you with the words. We come to you with definitions because we want you to grow from it. The definition of condemnation is the expression of very strong disapproval. When you begin to condemn someone, when I even learned about the word commitment, I have to share that when I learned about the word commitment, I realized that I was working with something on my own. And the reason I wasn't committed to doing something is because of a trust issue. And when I realized that I wasn't trusting the people around me, I also realized the hurt that I was giving people by not allowing them to help. It possibly made them feel insignificant. It probably made them feel unqualified or not worthy of a task that they wanted to help me with. And so now I'm breeding a level of hurt that I never knew. That can also be considered condemnation, disapproval. So even going back into what I was saying, every single day we're doing this. When we stick our nose up at people for, driving too fast, or we stick our nose up at people for what they have on, or we stick our nose up at people because they're not our religion, or because they're another religion, or because they don't have a religion. We do this every day. So it's an eye-opener for us even to end on the word condemnation. Condemnation is the expression of very strong disapproval. As a body of believers, that is the word that we're standing on and acting on every single day. It also says the action of condemning someone to a punishment or sentence. We are doing that every single day. We are putting people in this little jail of rejection based off of the fact that they've made an error. Please tell me that if you haven't sinned, then you go ahead and throw the first stone. If you won't do it tomorrow, then go ahead and throw that stone. I encourage you to just go ahead and throw the stone. If you have lived a life without sin, go ahead and cast the first stone. David, back to you.
That was very inspiring. And all we trying to do is really just educate and to really be able to empathize, like with the Kirk Franklin situation. The first thing I thought was like, man, I wish I could talk to Kirk. Man, what happened, man? What's going on? Everything all right? That's where we should be. That's maturity. Because we know that we fall short according to everybody's paradigm. We're not going to please everybody. Kirk Franklin has been respectful to the platforms. He's admitted he had, pornography problems. He didn't have to say that. But he did it because he wanted people to know who he really was. He didn't hide that. Evidently, he's trying to help people. We don't know where that man's mind is really at. But I can tell you that he told that truth about himself. So when he got on and he apologized, I really didn't think he had anything to apologize about for being human. He could have if he wanted to apologize to God, that was the only person he owed an apology to, in my opinion. He did not owe any of us an apology, something that we all do. We all get upset at times where we shouldn't. And just because you don't use profanity, you get upset and hurt somebody to the fullest. Just because you feel you're not using profanity, your words are still foul. You're just replacing profanity with negativity. It's your spirit that tears others down. That's what we have to realize. We're so high and mighty, and we want to make ourselves feel so special. And guess what? You are special. But you can be greater than what you are right now if you start learning to empathize. If you start learning to really have more of a heart for people. Especially men and women of God, kings and queens of the world, when it's a Kirk Franklin type of situation and a brother do that and got put on blast by his son, for one thing, the son should never do his dad like that. And then we heard other things between Kirk Franklin and his son. I'm not here to protect Kirk Franklin. I'm here to tell us we have to mature in our thinking. And it's not up to us to entertain the foolishness. It's not up to us to put him down. What's that, Shay?
I was going to say while you were there, if anything, I thought it would have been a great opportunity for the believers to come together with so many different, I guess, stereotypes, the word to use now, for the church being as wicked, or, you know, the church believers or people who are quote unquote of God, kind of turning their backs on one another. It would have been a great opportunity for everyone to come together and revitalize what the church, who we are, what the church should look like or could look like. It was a great opportunity at that time to do that. And we always talk about stand in the gap, you know, stand in the gap. And I think that this would have been a great time to do that.
Yes. And it's just important for us to just this is the time, like you said, Shay. This is the time. And we miss our moments. We miss our moments. We miss our moments. Instead of embracing, we miss our moments. And that's why it's hard for people to come in and they say, man, that's why I don't want to go to church anymore. That's why I don't go to church. See, that's why I don't go to church. Where is his support system?
Yeah.
Where's his support?
From what I could
the
read,
Bible
David,
said we all fall short. Not some. It said we all fall short. Go ahead, Shay.
From what I could,
we got 1 minute.
Yeah, but what I can ascertain is one of the rappers that we were listening to actually said, you know, he was a secular rapper who actually said that was my voice. They took up more for him. That was my voice. That was me that did that. I'm going to take it off of his back and I'm going to put it on me. So that was a secular rapper that actually came out of nowhere and said, I got his back. That was me that was talking. That wasn't Kirk Franklin. That was me.
Right. That was Plies. See, Plies was making it was funny because everybody was trying to say Plies and Kirk Franklin look alike. So Plies said, you know what? That wasn't him, man. That was me, man. That was me. But you're right, Shay. You know what I'm saying? Even he made a funny about it. People who do use profanity was taking up for him way more than the people that's supposed to. And that's not saying, well, what he did was the right thing. We're not saying that. We're not saying it's the wrong thing either, though. We're saying you matured and focused on you and your family. And allow God to be the judge of that man, not you. That's all I'm saying. And with that being said, we hope you had an awesome time tonight. We just want to love on you, encourage, and it's about growth, family. We're not here to condemn anyone ourselves. We just want you to be a better version of yourself, and we're here just to challenge your thinking. I challenge my thinking every day, and if I challenge my thinking, I'm going to implement that same type of thinking to you. Why? I'm going to tell you why, because you're valuable, and we want you to recognize your greatness. And with that being said, y'all better tune in next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So where the music at? Where the music? Where the music at? 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 If you're not gonna have it, you're not gonna have it. I guess you're not gonna have it. Cause it's a never know one. It's a never know one. And they don't want us to go because they enjoy the show. They enjoy the show, Shay. That's what it is. That's how hyped we are tonight. We so hyped. They're like, man, we'll forget the music. We don't even want the show to end. But we got to end it. Let me tell you why. Because we had a long weekend. Where is the music?
Where the music at?
Where the music at?
It's your boy, David Benton. Hey, yo, Shay. It's time to go beyond the fence. Life is so good. It's so good. Yeah. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones, you know. Yeah.
The world's greatest DJ.
It's about 8 in the morning, I'm just waking up. Got the Folgers on brew, about to fill my cup. While I'm looking out the window, the sun come up. I'm good. It's about 8 in the morning, I'm just waking up. Got the Folgers on brew, about to fill my cup. While I'm looking out the window, let the sun come up. I'm good. I'm about to get my day started. Off to work, about to make some dollars. If only you knew what I've been through, you would smile and say that I'm good. I got a good job, I'm good. And my bills are paid out, good. And my family's good, my health is good. I thank God that I'm good. I got a good job, I'm good. And my bills are paid out, good. I got food on the table, I know that he's able. Thank God I'm good. God, I'm good. I thank God I'm good.
Life is so good.
I thank God I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You are magnificent, great. Your feeling is hate. When we're ignorant, grace. So intimate place. Your heart of innocence make a life different break. This whole sin and the sinning. Cause the enemy hate. You are the sun, stars, and the moon. You are the beam of light when it's dark in the room. When I depart from the womb, you're the air that I breathe. Always there when I need you, preparing for peace. You're so good.
I got a good job, I'm good. And my bills are paid out, good. And my family's good, and my health is good. I thank God that I'm good. I got a good job, I'm good. And my bills are paid out, good. I got food on the table, I know that he's able. Thank God I'm good. I got a good job, I'm good. And my bills are paid out, good. And my family's good, my health is good. I thank God that I'm so good, so good, so good, so good. Lord, you've been so good to me. Yes, you have. I'm telling you, Lord, you've been so good to me.